I'll be back from the break. It is 3 minutes past 8 in the morning. Hope you're doing okay and hope you're ready for the world of business that has definitely presented itself to you. How are you doing to all of you wherever you are? Well, I'm Jerome Paul Sonka. This is Smart Means Business, a day that is quickly a Tuesday, and apparently you will definitely experience a lot of what is coming in. It's the 20th of December, 5 days to Christmas, and the festive season presents itself as one of those few whereby most of the Ugandans are really, really, really excited about how prepared they are ahead of this particular period. But I hope you guys are doing fine. Okay, now this moment in the morning, we have business tips and the business quotes just to quickly inspire your day and as well motivate you as you start up your business mornings. Let's kick start it off with the business tip though. And the business tip says push for a decision. This morning is maybe it's a terrible place to be. It's not good for you, and it's not good for the customer. You're left unsure if the customer is or will ever be ready to buy, and the customer is in limbo, waiting for a solution. When you know that prospects have enough information to make a decision, push them to make one cute decision for your life. Push for a decision. This particular business tip tells us to do so. So push for one decision. Maybe it's a terrible place to be, but it may not be good for you, and it's not good for the customer. If you're left unsure if the customer is or will ever be ready to buy, the customer is in limbo, waiting for a solution. When you know what prospects have enough, push them to make one decision, then you will definitely see why and how important it is. So put for a decision today morning as the business person, you should definitely choose for a position as an individual. Yes, that's exactly what this tip is telling us to think about this particular morning as we continue to see how we can turn ourselves or how we can put ourselves in positions of executing everything that matters to do with business. So push for a decision. It is important to ensure that the decisions that you take for your business are vital and quite helpful to the growth of your business. So that is what the tip is telling us to do this morning. Now let's have more from our business quote as well. Now, the CEO of Mylan, who is Heather Breast, says there is simply no substitute for hard work when it comes to achieving success. That there is simply no substitute for hard work when it comes to achieving success. So, if you ever want to put yourself in a position of being successful, you'll get to realize that it's important. It's quite important for you to think about how you're going to be able to at least work hard. It is not something that you should be thinking of and apparently coming to reality that maybe you will only be successful when you have luck, because luck is not going to hit you. It's not something that is going to hit you out of the blue. You got to work hard for the entire life to ensure that this comes to pass. So this is exactly what this particular tip is telling us to put ourselves into. We have to realize and put ourselves in that position that there is simply no substitute for hard work when it comes to achieving success. So you're basically allowed to actually put yourself into a situation of working hard, and then you will see yourself receiving some good results at the end of the day. That is the business quote this morning. And now, speaking of the social media trends all over the timeline, Twitter to be more precise, we turn our eyes to what is coming in from there. Well, apparently, one of the key highlights of the trends was regarding East Africa. So what was tweeted about East Africa yesterday on the timelines? What was mentioned about the East African Community region? Now, President Museveni, according to Gambanogo at Gambanogo2, tweeted, President Museveni brings together U.S. private sector companies, African vision, leadership and capacity with global expert and investment partners for the implementation of strategic economic investment for the benefit of Uganda and the East African region. That is according to Gambano, whose tweet regarding that situation of the president and the East African region. And Gelin Foucault at Gelin_G says the most innovative countries in the world 2022. Visualcapitalist.com/most innovative, as she tweeted that out of 10 in Africa's top 10 countries, 5 countries in East Africa. And of course, also highlighting these particular ones, which include Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, and Burundi, out of the 5 most innovative countries within the East African region or within the African continent. And of course, that, as you can favorably see from that space. Now, also this one coming in from Namwanje Gloria at Namwanje Gloria, that President Museveni has continued to call for market integration of East Africa and Africa. The president said that prosperity in Africa will be propelled by trade not only within East African community, but across the entire continent. As of course, you can see that particular tweet also not only focusing more on the East African region, but also looking at the entire African region as well, if we are to continue looking at it in that space. Now, the City Review Digital, City Review Juba, that report South Sudan remains the biggest defaulter of remittances of the East African community with $29 million arrears. Burundi owes the community $12.4 million. Rwanda $3.6 million. Uganda $3.4 million. And Tanzania $1,915. Kenya is the least defaulter with a $20 debt. And well, here the East African newspaper also said that Juba, Burundi owe East African community a total of $40 million. Now, Robert Kimball at Rob_Kimball says that in a 12-month to June 2022, the United Kingdom exported, amongst other things, £8.8 million worth of cars, £34.2 million worth of other road vehicles, and $5.6 million worth of consumer electrical goods to Tanzania in East Africa. Now, the total exports valued at around £199 million. According to a statement from ONS, the UK exports 230 markets worldwide. And now Jovia Amtumhaire at Amtumhaire Jovia says final investment decision for the United States $4.5 billion East Africa Energy Security and Transition Investment Project in Uganda confirmed to take place in 2023. As we look forward to that one, that is according to what Jovia tweeted yesterday in regarding to that particular final investment decision for the US $4.5 billion East Africa Energy Security and Transition Investment Project. Right now, quickly, as we now focus more on what is happening from the world of markets within Africa. Now, let's talk more about investment. Your investment journey should quickly start off with Zabu. I'm only left with a minute here for the markets to get open. Now, Zabu, a platform by Altex East Africa, says do something new. Zabu is my money, my future. Now, start 292 hash, and after registering with your NIN, in the next 24 hours, your investment journey will quickly start off with Zabo. Zabo is a platform by Altex East Africa which reminds you to do something new. And yes, the only new thing that you can do now in the festive season, if you are yet to do it, is to invest in bonds and securities. With a minimum of just 15,000 Ugandan shillings, it's very simple and very possible for you to kickstart off your investment journey with Zabo. Well, as of course, 15,000 Ugandan shillings, its opening time is 8:15 a.m. and the closing time is 3:15 p.m. The only time the Zabo markets are not open is during public holidays and on weekends. That is when they are not open, but the other days you'll be able to invest in bonds and securities. Monday to Friday is a time when you can quickly invest in those bonds. It's just a few hours time when these particular markets are open, and of course once they are open, quickly start off your investment journey. Remember, registering is only simple with your account number, with your account rather, and an account only needs you to have your NIN. And then your investment journey will quickly start off with the star 292 hash on a daily. And as I speak now, the markets are open on the Zabo platform. Besides that, now let's look at more of the business updates as they're coming in this particular hour, as we turn our eyes to the beverages sector. There are quite a number of beverage companies in Uganda, not only those that we predominantly know of, but of course, the stakeholders within here do have their say in regards to how they've performed and where the challenges have been at, and how they are seeing the transition of digitization and automation within their sector and how effective it can be to shape up their sector. We have more in this update.
As an industry, we've seen a lot of change in consumer consumption and preferences, but consumers, are discerning. They know what they want. So depending on who you are, your fortunes are different. I can say that we've been very blessed. Our consumers, in terms of our product, have continued to enjoy it. It's a quality product that they can relate to. And by the time we come here to actually give back to them, it is a way of us saying thank you, because they did support us during the pandemic. They supported us after lockdown, and they're still with us. So it's one way of saying, you said customer care, but I believe it's saying thank you to our consumers.
Okay, we have seen products.
Trends are very, very interesting. Depending on what circumstances you're in at that point in time, you have to adapt. As Coca-Cola Beverages Uganda, we also had to adapt. When you said, online transactions and all that, we were the pioneers on the online platforms. We saw it way ahead of time and said, you know what, we will go into this area of, online purchasing. We did go out and, partner with some of the biggest names, Jumia, Chikubo Online. We actually went out and said, why don't we partner with this? Because we understood our consumer. We understood that our consumer was evolving and we had to evolve with them. We've gone out very heavily on digital, where we are, showcasing our products. And I believe with the current consumer that we have, who's very tech savvy, they actually now can relate with us, because we haven't stayed back and not listened to our consumer. We go and interact with the consumer where they are. I'll tell you, in the next 5 years, we are going to go very heavily digital. Not Coca-Cola alone, but as an industry, because our consumers are going that direction. Our customer is going that direction. It also helps in, managing, costs. Digitalization has actually helped us to manage our costs. We have been able to work at almost 100% efficiency during the COVID period using technology. And I believe that trend is not going to change. So how have we managed post-COVID digitally? I think we've done very well in terms of our numbers. In that space, at least, we've gotten about 2% of our volume coming from digital platforms. So I believe it's a trend that is going to stay. And it is a very good idea that we guys were able to come on board when it had just started.
All right, and of course, as you can see, the particular ones is the beverage companies. Normally, during such times, they give back to some of their clients, of course, and the fact that there are some of the companies that are actually making some good money, because people do buy these soft drinks from the varieties that we do have. We do have quite a number of companies in the beverages sector in Uganda. Well, besides that, now we talk business this morning as well, but pretty much a situation regarding the Uganda Registration Service Bureau. What happens in the business transition? Also, from the fact that registering your businesses and why is it so important? We get this particular update from the Uganda Registration Service Bureau this morning as well.
So in the directorate, we will have a new development, especially in the main law that we operate, that is the Companies Act. There are only three major aspects that came up with the amendment of the Act that we have today. The law was assented to by the President in September, and we are currently finalizing the regulations to operationalize the new aspects of the law. The three major aspects that are in that law is one, the aspect of beneficial ownership. We require that each and every entity that we put on our register, we have information about the end owner, the end beneficiary of the shares in such an organization. And whoever comes to our office to register a company, so long as the person who appears in the company documents is not the end beneficiary of the shares in that company, we require that you provide us with information regarding the beneficial owner. And this beneficial owner must be an individual. There are several rules that we focus on. There are aspects that a company, if it falls within a certain bracket, it must provide such information. One of them is if the share capital of the company is beyond 50 millions. The other one is if in the company there is any corporate entity that owns the shares in such a company. So when that happens, we require that you provide us with information of the beneficial owner of the shares in that company. The other aspect that came up with this law is to require people who are registering companies to give us additional information. You recall that we used to require information that was basic. You only needed to give us your name. After giving us your name, you give us your address, date of birth, and the signature. Now, the development with the new law is that there is some additional information that we require that the clients avail us at registration. And then the last key aspect of this amendment is that when a person is coming to us to register a company, when a person comes to us to register any kind of business, if your business has been on our register for quite some time, and there are areas where you feel you've not been able to meet the objectives of your company, we created a safe and easier way of exiting business. Of course, we have the whole legal framework of how a person leaves a business under the Insolvency Act, which was a bit lengthy and did not distinguish between the companies that have been doing business, the companies that have assets and liabilities, and the companies that do not have assets and liabilities. So one of the key areas that we focused on in the amendment is to ensure that we provide an ease of exiting business for companies that do not have liabilities and assets. So that is also another development in this law that we are talking about. So there are other aspects that came about with the amendment, but those are the three key areas that I thought we needed to bring to your attention. Now, other than those legal reforms, we have other administrative reforms that we have put in place as an institution. First and foremost, I need to first tell you where we come from. As an institution, every day we focus on what is happening around the globe. So these administrative reforms that we put up, we follow what is happening both in our country and in other jurisdictions. Because we know that we do not operate in our own world, we have to ensure that we comply with what is happening in the world. So some of these administrative reforms have a basis from where the world is heading. Now, when we have been registering our documents, there are issues that keep happening, and then management sits and guide on how such matters must be dealt with. One of them is the area to do with the transactions relating to sale of company property, specifically land. You realize that whenever people come, we require people to give us additional information. We require people to provide attachments. At times we go to the extent of asking for land titles for people who want to sell land. This came as a result of issues that we have been seeing over the days. We've been getting very many people coming to us complaining of what happens after they've registered some documents with us. So that is one area we said, in order for us to address some of those challenges, we require that in most cases when you refer to a land title, that you are making any transaction in land title, we require that you provide some additional information that would help us ascertain that you are a true owner or you have interest in that land that you actually want to transact in.
Right, huge day, huge it is, as you can see, preferably from that situation regarding the Uganda Registration Service Bureau, as you will definitely getting more of what is coming in from there. Now, briefly, as you can see, this is according the aspects about the act that will definitely regulate URSP. That will definitely be regulating URSP on customer management and how customers will be basically managed and how their businesses will be managed after registry. So you as a business person also should be reminded that it's very important for you to register your business with the Uganda Registration Service Bureau. After the break, we'll be returning with sports business and latest from the world of the entertainment economics as well. Good morning.